Baby, yesterday they had a football game at the Bad Bunny concert, and I want to talk a little bit about that, but specifically the piece of everything ain't for you, but conversely, you ain't for everyone. But you know we got to do the intro. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Daily Donna with me, Dr. Donna. I am your sex and relationship therapist in the Washington, D.C. metro area and host of the Daily Donna. And everything that we talk about will always have a therapeutic edge, or at least I think it will always have a therapeutic edge. I think that all things come back to it in the end. And I guess if I'm also being honest, everything will also have a somewhat political edge, if only because I'm Black. Yeah. And I'm a woman. And these things tend to have a political edge. So I want to talk about this Bad Bunny concert that happened yesterday. Let me preface this by saying I don't speak a lick of Spanish, right? Like I did not understand anything that this man said except maybe a couple of dondes, right? I'm learning French. I'm not learning Spanish. So I mean, I got some gist, but I didn't understand. And you know what? I was just like, good. I liked that the wish that people had a year ago came true. They said, I hope he don't speak a lick of Spanish. And he didn't. Or that he don't speak a lick of English. Anyway, and he didn't. The only person that was, there was like one part in English, and that was with like Lady Gaga or whatever. Anyway, while I may not have understood the Spanish, what I did understand was some of that symbolism. He took us on a journey. And this is one of those moments where I was just like, it clearly wasn't for the people at the stadium. I think they got to be there to witness the concert from their seats, which I think substandard seats. I feel like this was for us viewers at home, which also says to me, like, yeah, the people who can afford to be in this stadium are not the people I'm talking to. I'm talking to y'all out there who may not think that you are a part of the American fabric, that you're not a part of the American dream, that somehow you are supposed to be seen as somehow separate than what is going on right here, right now. Felt it all up in here. Now, I said that the message seems simple for me, that everyone is in your audience and you are not to everyone's taste. And I think I really enjoyed that, right? Like, he didn't change his message to be in English where the people here would understand. He gave his message to the people that he felt needed it, who needed to be reminded that the way that they got here, the way that they grew, their stewardship over the land, but with that beginning and the sugar canes, right? I love the LGBT love that certain people are not elevated just because they are celebrities. Because I know that you picked a little Cardi B in there. I know you seen what I synced, right? And what felt like a multi-generational conversation, right? You had Ricky Martin, you had Bad Bunny. Like, I would say, like, Ricky Martin was the it man of then. Bad Bunny is the it man of now. And then he gave a gift of his Grammys to a young boy. And I was just like, boom, 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 generational, baby, generational. So you didn't have to understand it to get it, right? Like, you don't need to speak Spanish to understand what was going on. But if you believe that your individual experience should always be centered in someone else's story, you will always find yourself disappointed. I mean, the headlines have made it clear that some of the others, some of our white folks, some of our snow yetis, they were quite upset at what felt like a blatant disrespect or a blatant forgetting of them, right? They're like, there were no white people on the stage. I'm like, Lady Gaga was there. Granted, I don't know her background, so right. They're like, well, it was in Spanish. There was some English, right? But when you are used to being centered, when you're used to people bending and capitulating toward you, you have an expectation that they will always do so. And when someone fails to do so, we get in our feelings about that. And I say we, when I say we, I mean we, everybody. Um, Sometimes when you have been forgotten by certain people, you feel further forgotten if they didn't mention you in this thing, as though the thing was supposed to be mentioned or somehow be about you. Now, if someone says this thing is for the whole world and they leave out an entire continent, which often happens, right? Like, oh, this is we're going all around the world, no African countries to be seen. Oh, we're talking about food all around the world. Again, no one even stepped on the continent, right? Like these things happen often, but nobody says anything, right? Because for a lot of people, Africa is a country, and it is a country way over there that doesn't matter. And if they could just pick themselves up by their bootstraps, maybe we would give a damn, right? But wow, when white people are decentered for what, 15 minutes? I look like, I'm sorry, but the whole of football was created for white boys to feel tough and to what, be ready for war, right? Like, and if you listen to the way that they talk about football, they talk about it as though it is a war, not like it is a game, like it is a war. It is us against them, and we must defeat them and grrr, crush, crush, crush to the enemy. And I'm like, I can appreciate that, and y'all sound crazy, because it's a game. It's a game, and people get paid to play this game. And I think that that piece though, like what it means to decenter. And I want to say this from a from a micro, meso, and macro level. So meso, for the micro level, that's the interpersonal level. That's the me and you level, right? The meso level is the next step up. It's like you and your neighborhood, or like small, like organizations and stuff. Macro would be your government. And I think the problem is that because the macro has been so centered on whiteness and making sure that white people have what they need, they have taught the meso to mimic the macro, and we have taught the micro to mimic the meso, who is mimicking the micro. So what does that look like? What that looks like is even Black folk who swear they're all about Black folk will center white feelings in some of their discourse. It means that we will gentle what we want to say. It means that we will change what we want to say because we see them in the audience, because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. And because we have been taught that their feelings matter more than our facts. That our experiences are somehow less than. And what I loved is that Bad Bunny was just like, I know what stage I'm on, but I know who I'm talking to, right? Like, I'm going to speak to my people in a language that my people know, showing them things that my people would resonate with, and let them know that I see them, that I'm here with them, that I don't forget them, that this is for them. And I can appreciate that type of message. I appreciate that symbolism. That for me was what Kendrick Lamar did last year, right? He talked to us, and I was just like, hey, heard, word and heard, know what you're saying, man, right? And I think that, and this is gonna sound mean, and I want to make sure that you understand that I say this with love, because I also recognize that there are struggles here. Part of the reason why white people believe that they will always be centered is because we always center them. Not because they center themselves, but because we also center them. And so we become an accomplice to the great white centering. We become accomplices that help them to feel like they deserve and should always be thought about and centered. You can watch a whole movie and never see nary a person of color, and certainly not an obvious person of color if they have one in the video or in the movie at all. And white people will not say a damn thing about the fact that nobody else is in it. Black people might mention it, but we also recognize that, well, you know what, this thing ain't really for us anyway, right? So sort of let it go. But when a black person creates a movie and it doesn't have white people in it, or it doesn't have white people in the type of role that they want to see themselves in, as some sort of a savior, or someone who learned, and someone who got better, as someone who whatever, if we show them in the light that we see them, that we feel them, now all hell breaks loose, right? Now it's, well, why would you create this type of art? It becomes, putting the quotes around the art. It becomes a thing because we have done a job of consistently centering them, their desires. And if you watched yesterday's video, then you'll know that we basically put everything behind the paywall, like everything about ourselves behind a paywall that first requires us to pay homage to whites and to white folk. When I speak, I don't speak to white people. I'm speaking to black people. I'm speaking to black women. And I'm speaking to you. Anyone who is not what I have already named, if you are not black, if you are not woman, you can hear what I'm saying, but I'm not talking to you. And it doesn't mean that these other folk can't benefit. It doesn't mean that they can't be here, because I mean, this is YouTube. Certainly you can. But it means that I won't do myself the disservice of decentering my people the same way that we have already been so decentered. I'm centering us back. That's what I'm doing. I'm centering us back. And if you are an other and you're here and you're listening and you're still here, then bravo for you for being here. Congratulations, you get the message too. But in the end of the day, I'm not talking to you. My book, Drink Water, Mind Your Business, I wrote it. It's my love letter to Black women. That doesn't mean that other people can't benefit. It doesn't mean that other people aren't mentioned. It doesn't mean that they can't receive something. What it means, though, is that I talk to Black women. And I think that sometimes white folk will mind Black people's business, but mostly because they're wanting to see if they were mentioned at all. They want to see if we'll say anything. We'll say like, yeah, all extra fine people. Someone said, and I saw this last night. Someone said like, he had all the fine women on the stage of every shade and every color. And someone was like, there were no white people on the stage, and they just reiterated what they said. And I was just like, go on and reiterate it, because if it had been, I don't know, a white band from White Town with only white people, nobody would have said shit, right? Like the powers that be on all levels would not have said anything, right? But if we can learn, I think that we could all learn with decentering ourselves from other people's story, right? You're not the center, you're not the sun of someone else's little universe. We are the center of our own little universes. And we invite other people to come be in orbit with us. And when we are seeing someone else, we go to be in orbit over there. It doesn't mean that we should expect them to decenter themselves and prize us. And I know that that is a difficult thing, right? Because we're also talking about power constructs. We're talking about the white supremacist delusion, the male supremacist delusion. These are two delusions that always want to be centered. Where like a movie that is for women and sometimes even by women still censors on some dude, right? Because they're supposed to be the center of our universe. So the second that you decenter them, men feel a way about that. The second that you decenter white people, they feel a way about that. And that is because we've been taught so very thoroughly that they should be centered, that when they're not, it feels like an anomaly against nature, when in reality, it is a restructuring of the way that we were nurtured. So nature is what happens naturally in the natural world. And nurture is how one would teach someone, how one would give the information to them. And I think that we conflate the two, and say that some things are unnatural when they're entirely natural, right? It's what's unnatural is the great centering of white people. What's unnatural is the great centering of men. None of these things are natural. None of these things make sense. Let the animal kingdom tell you, right? Like, which peacock is the peacock with all the plumage, and why do they have all the plumage? Male peacocks have all that lovely, sexy ass plumage. Why do they have all that plumage? They have it because they're trying to get the attention of female peacocks. They have to show that they are able to stay alive with their bright ass colors, that they're still able to provide with their bright ass colors, that they can, that yeah, they can, their predators can see them and they can give them the rope a dope, that they move quickly, right? That plumage can scare the hell out of somebody if need be, right? It's male peacocks, that peacock. Right? It's it's female lions that do the hunting, right? That are quite frank, the king of the jungle. I'm like, okay. I'm just like, it is only women, female people, it is human women who vie for the attention of some man, where it is supposed to be, it is the opposite almost everywhere else. It is the male version of any species constantly vie for the attention of some woman who might take what she wants and kill him. Like, I'm thinking about black widows, right? I'm thinking about spiders. I'm thinking about various animals in the animal kingdom. Like, they take what they want and then it's like poo poo to you. And I'm not saying that that is good, right, or whatever. I'm saying that that's nature, and that we be doing some real unnatural shit, centering someone else in our world and thinking ourselves less than because we haven't done a great job of centering. It sort of makes me sad for us. So that message, everyone is in your audience and you don't need to be to everyone's taste. That's what Bad Bunny showed us. He showed us that every message that you have is not for everybody, but the people who it's supposed to be for will see it. That it will reach them, that it will resonate with them, that they will feel it, and that they will know that that message was for them. Now, he wasn't talking to me, but I still got the message, right? Um, and what I kind of want for us is to stop contorting ourselves to be someone's idea of what the right type of whatever would do, or of whatever the right type of that whatever would be, right? Like, my job is not to perform the right type of therapist, the right type of black therapist, the right type of Nigerian American therapist, the right type of DC girl PG raised therapist. Like, my job is not to present to you whatever it is that you think that you know about what a therapist is supposed to be, and my job is not to perform. I'm not a performer. This is not a circus. I'm not a clown. Right? So it's not about you. It's about, this is my message for you, maybe. Hopefully it reaches you. Hopefully you get it. Hopefully you accept it. And if it's not for you, then that's okay. Right? Like, some people will be offended at the idea that someone doesn't want to reach them. But I'm just like, I'm not offended if I didn't reach you. If you are if you are unmoved by anything that I say, if you want to roll your eyes and suck your teeth and just like, oh my gosh, this bitch, like, that is for you to do, right? That is for you to have. And somebody is going to do the same thing about you. And you still have no business contorting yourself and turning yourself every way but loose in trying to meet everybody else's expectation. Being a people pleaser sounds like a worthy cause, right? Like, you want to make sure that everyone else is pleased. Except the problem is that you are not pleased. Whose life are you living? Who are you living for? Also recognize that we believe that we will be more safe if we are not ourselves. And I recognize that history has also shown that some of us are not safe when we are ourselves. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't say that. I know that. I'm a black girl with blue hair. I know that. And yet, there's still a cost when we contort ourselves to meet other people's expectations. There's still a cost when we bite our tongue so that other people can maintain comfort. There is always a cost when we conform to center other people in our universes. And I can't tell you what your cost is, but you know what your cost is. And if you're willing to share it, I would like you to write that in the chat. What's the cost? Like, what does it cost you to be quiet? What does it cost you to be compliant? What does it cost you to pretend? When we pretend in a relationship, when we pretend at our jobs, when we pretend with our friends, when we pretend with our family, it has a cost. And I don't know that we often want to spend time looking at what it cost us to do what we did. So, quick story time. There was my very first keynote. I was hired to speak at the National Sex Ed Conference, which was at the time, and maybe still is, in conjunction with Planned Parenthood. Now, I knew what I wanted to say. I knew what I felt like I was called to say, but I felt like, oh, well, you can't get on that stage and talk shit about the people who just paid you, right? Like, that's wild behavior. And if you want another speaking engagement, maybe you conform. But it is hard to do what is necessary to do when you are trying to pretend to be something that you're not. So I agonized and agonized for weeks and weeks and weeks about how I could say a message without offending the people who paid me. And then I had a fuck it moment, right? Like, have the audacity. Like, if there's a city to live in, it's Auda. You want to live in Audacity. It's a great city to live in. And so I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. If I never get another speaking engagement, that wasn't my purpose anyway. If I offend on the stage, that's I can't take their offense as my issue. I didn't do that. You did that. If you're offended by the truth, then do something about it, right? And I spoke to the Black people in the audience because no one ever speaks to us. People speak around us and people speak about us, but they never speak to us. So Black people in a lot of these conferences end up having the side conference, right? Like, you go to the session, and then with the Black people who were also in that session with you, you have another session where you decode what you got and figure out how and if and how it applies to the Black people you serve. So we do the extra work, we go the extra mile, we do the extra reading, we do the extra research, look at more journal articles to see if the thing that was said actually applies to our people, and then figure out how to make it work with our people. Which means we end up doing double work. We came here to get learned like everybody else, but what we learned was not immediately applicable. So we have to do the additional work to make it applicable to us. And the thing is, I don't generally complain about that, right? I think some of it has been because it's been like this is what it has been. But it doesn't have to be what it always will be. And I have found that as more of us get on the stage and we speak to us, and the other people in the audience recognize that somebody did not censor them in the conversation, they recognize how they have not censored us. Or at least I like to believe that they have the cognitive awareness to recognize that they have also done us a disservice in that way. And some of the questions that you receive is like, how can I make this applicable to me? And I'm just like, I am not going to make it applicable to you. You grow. Go do the research that I would do for my people to make sure that this is applicable. Do the extra work. And Bad Bunny asked us to do our homework, right? Like, he was performing the thing, but he wasn't explaining the thing. you will see that there are lots of think pieces about what he said, what he meant. I mean, I technically just gave you a little bit of my own interpretation of what he said and all that other stuff, but you will see plenty of think pieces about this because that's artistry. When artistry makes itself known, people will debate it. People will talk about what they saw, and some people will say, no, that's not what he said, or that's not what he did, or whatever, whatever, whatever. That's the beauty of artistry. And when people are hung up on the fact that they were not censored, that's what they will talk about. They will talk about how they didn't see a lick of this and he didn't speak a lick of English and that this feels un-American. Because when people say something is American, what they mean to say it is white, which is why we have hyphenate Americans constantly. Black American, Native American, right? Like you constantly are having to specify which type of American you're talking about because certain people are not automatically considered American, despite the fact that America is an entire body. The United States is a country in the entire continent. Nothing has made that more clear to me than in the process of learning French, which I told you I've been on that journey. And when I want to say something, I have to say les États-Unis, right? The States United. Pas Amérique or Nord-Amérique, parce que il n'est pas les mêmes choses. It's not the same thing to say America as it is to say the United States. And I think that if we can also do that work, we can help decenter the United States from being the entirety of the continent because it ain't. So I guess my question is, how are we decentering others today? How are we decentering the people that have presumed power in our lives? And how are we taking some more power for ourselves? What story would you be telling if you weren't centering other people? Now, if you made it to this point in the video, I want you to tell me what's one thing that, oh no, I feel like I did food yesterday. I can't do food again, can I? What color shirt are you wearing right now? That's what I want to know. I want to know what color shirt you're wearing right now. Tell me in the comments and also go ahead and answer the questions that have been asked. I'll make sure to write them again. Anyway, y'all are the bee's knees, and I will see you again tomorrow for the Daily Donna, where we talk about everything with a slightly therapeutic edge. All right, bye.